Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid Cast, we are back in the house. It is Oakrey here on the line, and I've got Grif on the other side. Grif, what's going on?
Hey, man, just getting ready. Getting ready, hype for the season here. OTAs are happening. Been reading stuff up on that, trying to catch as much as I can. Listening to interviews. See who's doing good at practice. So, every day it gets closer to training camp, man. Getting a little more excited.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate everybody out there who's been listening to the Kool-Aid Cast and kind of been interacting with us. It's been fun to keep this thing going. Kind of just three fans talking football, and we're hoping to bring some other folks on as we get going. So, like Grifka said, we've had some OTAs. They had some really good stuff on the Lions website with the coordinators, all these different interviews with everybody from the linebacker, running back coach, all the way up to Jim Bob there on the offensive side, and the defensive coordinator. So real good stuff to check out. But today, Grifka, your favorite topic of all time, and that is the 2018 schedule. I know it came out a bit ago and we didn't get to it, but today we're going to dive deep into the schedule. We're going to take you guys through weeks 1 until the bye week. We're going to kind of just bring up each game, talk it through, what we're thinking, what we think about their chances to win, lose, and then also the different challenges for each week. So, Grifka, it's your favorite schedule. Favorite thing is the schedule. I'm looking at it right now, and I've got week 1, the New York Jets, September 10th, Monday Night Football, 7:10 at Ford Field. Me and you will be there. What are you thinking?
This game, really, I don't care who's the starting quarterback for the Jets. I don't care if they want to throw Darnold in there. I don't care if they trust McNown. I don't care if they want to try Teddy Bridgewater because maybe he can do a little more, escape the pocket. This is the home opener on Monday night. The fans are going to be raucous. This game, I looked at it when I first saw it and we came through. I'm like, they should beat this team by 10. I mean, this game should be a blowout by NFL standards. I mean, we're not looking like, college score, by like 35 or anything like that. But with how good the Jets are compared to what the Lions are, I mean, I'm looking for at least a 10-point victory in this game. I mean, Jets got a pretty decent defense. Don't get me wrong. And I know like the Lions have a new coach, but it's still the same. It's still the same offense coordinator. And I know we've had the discussion before. We think maybe Caldwell, maybe put the handcuffs on Jim Bob a little bit, trying to force him to do things. I don't know. I think that's not going to be the way with the new regime. They're going to let the offense, if Stafford's like just chucking it all night, that can do it against that defense, they're going to do it. They're going to get the matchups just to score points. And Detroit's defense, I realize it's going to be new, but I still think they're going to be able to shut down that Jets offense. I'm thinking at least a 10-point victory right here.
Grifka, I thought you were going to say it, but you sort of tried to say it, but you also danced around it. What I'm thinking when I'm looking at this game on the schedule is a tone setter. Set the tone, come out, first game under Matt Patricia, and you're talking 10 points. I know the NFL is a close league. I would love to lay the hammer down on the New York Jets. Nobody cares who their quarterback is. Nobody cares that they think they have this good defense the last couple of years. They're in our house on Monday night. I'm talking 14 or more. Come and beat these guys by 2 touchdowns and start the year off, like you say, the building's going to be just absolutely on fire. And I think it's definitely a victory, and I want a solid win. I know they got to work through some things with the new coaches, but I think you just not only try to lay the hammer down, but you let people know how the season's going to go right from the get-go. No slow starts, no just trying to eke it out at the end. The Jets are not a team you should have to do that against with their overall roster. So I'm with you. I'm going to chalk up a victory. I'm even going to turn the volume up a little bit and say, give me a 14, maybe even a 21-point victory inside Ford Field, and let's head to the West Coast here, game 2 against San Francisco, riding high and feeling good, and see what we can do on a long road trip. What are you thinking about San Fran?
Well, historically, the Lions really don't travel that well to the West Coast. I don't know what it is. Ever since I was a kid watching them, it seems like no matter who they played, how bad that team was on the West Coast, the Lions would go out there and lay an egg. And I realized that, they have Jimmy Garoppolo, and everybody's loving this guy all of a sudden. Oh, he was 5-0 down the stretch. And, the teams he played, I mean, like he beat the Bears. I mean, that team was terrible. I mean, he beat the Texans. I mean, the game was in Houston, but they didn't have a quarterback and they were missing their best defender. So I'm not, chalking that one up to beat, like any, steel curtain team. I mean, let's see. They beat the Titans at home, but once again, that was kind of like an Eastern team traveling west. And yeah, they beat the Jaguars. But that's another one of those East teams going west, having a 4:00 start, and the 49ers had some confidence, and, Jacksonville scored some, against San Francisco, but, San Francisco just happened to score more and beat them. And the last game, they beat the Rams. Yeah, the Rams were already clinched a playoff spot. They already clinched what they needed. They rested everybody. So that, to me, that 5-0 is kind of like, it's kind of fool's gold to me. So, but what Detroit needs to do, like you said, they kind of have to go out and like set the tone. Detroit last year, they seemed to play pretty decent on the road. And I believe that can carry over again to this year. I'm still not sold on, the San Francisco defense. Yeah, they got Richard Sherman, and he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but still, I mean, I think Detroit has enough offensive weapons, and I think their defense will be good enough, to go out there and win this game. Historically, would I think they would go out there and win it? No, I would probably chalk this up as a loss. But I'm still not sold on Garoppolo being like the next Tom Brady, So maybe I'm playing with my heart here. I'm going to chalk this one up put this in the W column. This one's going to be a squeaker, though. We're talking 3 points. Late in the game, they go down, and they win by 3.
Okay, so you got them 2-0. I like all the topics you hit on, talking about the it's always a struggle kind of going on the West Coast. Everyone's real high on Jimmy G. Kind of like the playmakers that San Francisco has added in some areas, but also think they're still weak in some areas. One thing that kind of jumps out to me is like this, Kyle Shanahan for the San Francisco. Like, I remember him being a terrible coordinator in a couple stops, and then he had a lot of success in Atlanta. And now everybody's written him back as this quarterback. I mean, I think he's good, and I think he has a plan for this team with some of the people he's brought in, but I don't think he's a world beater. I do like Jimmy G for the most part, but some bumps in the road. The Lions, to me, I didn't really hit on it week 1. We talked about it before on the podcast. Like, I think something that's huge is, can they kind of get both the running game and the just that new mentality up front with their O-line and their different that from day one. So I'd really like to see that against the Jets, and then also go out to San Francisco, and maybe you do have to win a little bit more ugly, or maybe you do have to grind one out, as you say. But it's a tough one for me as far as win-loss. I am going to chalk this one up as a victory, though, too. Just like I say, kind of ride momentum. I think Patricia will be able to scheme it out enough in regards to both overall game plan and help the defense be able to kind of give them enough to think about to kind of work through this victory. So I'm going to go 2-0 as well, leaving the Bay Area there and heading back home for a real big one. Week 3, we're talking coming home to Detroit. Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. against, guess who? The New England Patriots, Bill Belichick and company. We know who they have. We know what they've done. Grifka, week 3, you've got them undefeated heading into this game. What are you saying?
To me, this is a Mike Tyson punch to the face. I'm just going to chalk this one up as a loss. I mean, there's certain things that I feel why this is going to be a loss. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be another raucous crowd, Sunday night game, prime time. But I don't know what it is. It just seems like Belichick's understudies never beat him. I don't know if he knows more than them, or he knows kind of what their tendencies happen to be. But he seems like he's always able to out-scheme them in those games. I mean, whenever he coached against Romeo Crennel, whenever he coached against Charlie Weiss, whenever he coached against Eric Mangini, it just seems like he always got the better of them, no matter what. I mean, so I don't want to say it. I would love if Detroit won this game to go 3-0 in my book. For some odd reason, I just don't see it happening. It seems like historically, Belichick beats his understudies. So I'm gonna chalk this one up in the loss column.
Okay, so not unexpected. I thought you would go that route. Now myself, as you know me, always trying to be both optimistic but try to be realistic on our team. I'm looking at this game again. You're coming back 2-0. You're coming home where we want to protect home. We want to win. To me, I mean, the Patriots are great. They're coming off a Super Bowl they should have won, and got a lot of returning players. Got some new pieces in different areas. Um, when is his time going to run out? When is it going to be enough? Me and you are both big Michigan. We're always kind of in our back pocket. This guy just has not slowed down one bit. He just keeps every year when you think, man, maybe he'll be down a little bit this year. He just racks up another MVP or just elevates the numbers. So it's going to be tough. Man, I'm just kind of thinking on the actually gonna go with you again and say, man, this is one of those heartbreakers where I think we're gonna be up like a good amount heading in towards the end of the game and maybe fall just a bit short. I'm thinking a field goal. I'm thinking maybe a touchdown late that gets us. But I think it might be one of those games that just kind of you lose it, but nobody expected you to win. There's a lot of respect there because we don't get our doors blown, and we just kind of it's a good pick up the pieces kind of game because you got to go on the road to Dallas next. So I'm going to chalk it up as a loss, but almost like one of those good losses where you lose it but you feel good about it. The NFL gets a good view of your team, respects you, and then you got to just come in this next week and pick it up. So I'll lead right in and kick this next one off. We're heading down to Dallas. Jerry Dome. Seems like we play there every year. I mean, it's just crazy. But one thing they've done recently is totally left the guys on the outside empty in Dallas. Their defense, I'm a little worried about their defense. They're pretty dang solid at a lot of different spots there, in my opinion, on the defensive side of the ball for the Cowboys. It's indoors, which every time we have an indoor game, I love it because I feel like we can throw it around, do whatever we want to do on offense with no elements. So we're 2-1 at this point on the road at Dallas. I am actually going to put this as a loss as well. I think that Dak Prescott's actually going to be better without Dez and a few other people, and Zeke's just a hard guy to bottle up. So I'm going to chalk this up as a loss in Dallas, leave us at 2-2. Grifka, where are you at with this game?
Now, I was listening to your take on this, and there was a couple things I'm just like, oh, man, I don't know if I agree with you on that. But I'm going to give you a little backstory on this. Just this morning, I was just happened to watch a replay of, was it NFL Total Access on the NFL Network. And was it Sean O'Hare and some other guy, I can't remember one of the guys hosting the show, were talking about the Cowboys schedule. And this is one of those games where I always talk to you about how teams get more love than what they should. And I think the Cowboys get way more love than what they should. I mean, Sean O'Hara's just like, we're going to go through the schedule. I think the Cowboys need 10 wins. And, I'm just going to, he has them splitting against all of his rivals, all the NFC East rivals. He has them winning all the home games and losing all the away games. And he goes, and we're just going to put some W's here for the games that aren't even, we really even need to talk about. And first game, Lions, just instantaneous W. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And this is what I'm talking about, where I think the Cowboys get a lot more love. We could do a whole segment on this about how the Cowboys get so much love simply because they're the Cowboys. I mean, you're right. The Cowboys have a few good defenders. Their defensive backfield is terrible. And what can the Lions do well? They can pass the ball well. I mean, so their defensive backfield is terrible. That's all there is to it. I mean, they have no defensive backfield. I mean, you might as well put 4 trash cans out there. Or 4, those those robot tackling dummies out there, because they probably play just as well. Now, I mean, they got a pretty decent defensive line and some good linebackers. Okay, I'll live with that. But Detroit's going to score on these guys. Now, I keep hearing, the best offensive line in the game. They're going to have, Elliott back and, Dak Prescott, and your take of him being a little better without Dez. they don't have any wide receivers. I mean, what, they got Alan Hearns or something from Jacksonville, and Cole Beasley. I mean, Cole Beasley caught the ball all the time because all the defensive backs were on the good wide receivers. So what? He's going to be their best wide receivers now? Okay, that's like when Matt Millen brought in Akeem. I mean, it's like, oh, he's just fast. You're right, but now he's the number one, and they're going to have the number one defensive back on the guy. Okay, so Cole Beasley's going to be matched up against Big Play Slay. Yeah, good luck catching the ball there, Cole. Yeah, good luck. So, okay, they're going to hand the ball off to Zeke Elliott. Okay, good luck facing 9 guys in the box. I don't care how good your offensive line is. It's one of those games where the Cowboys get way more love, and because they're the Cowboys, everybody falls in love with these guys. So, they're going to be back again, back in the playoffs. They've lost too much. Now, do I think the Lions can go down there and win? Yes. Do I think they're going to get hosed on a call somehow because it's the Cowboys? Yes. And we lose one of those heartbreakers where the next week after that game, me and you are on here, and I go on this tirade where I'm pulling my hair out saying how the refs screwed the Lions again. That's how I feel. You're right. I'm chalking it up as a loss, but it's one of those where I'm going to want to kick my TV in after the game because of it. So, yeah, they're unfortunately at 2-2 when it should be 3-1. That's my take on it.
All right, well, we're gonna head to the back home for Green Bay here in a minute, but I got to take you to task on a couple things as you tried to take me to task. Now, right when you started that take, and I could have written it for you, I could have said it for you, because the old Grif bit is going into how the Lions never get any respect. The Lions always get hosed by these big teams. Everyone roots for all the big markets, and nobody cares about the Lions. I've heard this a million times from you, and
truth. It's the truth.
I feel like you can go back and definitely cite examples where we have been at the short end of the stick. But I'm also here to tell you, I don't have their depth chart in front of me as far as the DBs you speak of, but I can tell you their linebackers are freaks. They've got DeMarcus Lawrence, who's an absolute beast, and they got some good guys in the back end at safety, or the guy that went from safety and is heading over to corner. So, I know they have been terrible at DB, but I think if we looked up their players and who they've acquired and where they're heading with that defense, I don't know that they're as bad or will be as bad as they have been. And then when you turn to the offensive side of the ball, this might be a whole argument right here, but we had that talk way back where Calvin took his ball and went home, and you were all upset, and other people were all upset, and I was kind of like, hey, man, he makes way too much money. He didn't have the dog in him anymore, and he wasn't making plays like he used to. And what did Matt Stafford do? He got better. He didn't have to deal with the BS of the no practicing and the, I should have had that ball type stuff from Calvin Johnson. And I was happy about it, and he has been better in my opinion. And that's what I see from Dak Prescott. He's not going to have to force the ball to Dez. He's not going to have to deal with all these personalities. And you're talking about Cole. You went on like a 2-minute Cole Beasley rant. Cole Beasley might not even make that roster. We're talking Michael Gallup. We're talking Hearns. We're talking some of these other revamped receivers that they got coming in. And they got like 2 or 3 other guys that I can't even think of that they've either drafted or that are young guns that are going to be running around the field, getting the ball from Dak and all that stuff. So I'm not here to promote the Cowboys. I'm just here to tell you, some of the things you said were kind of like, Cole Beasley was 3 years ago, bro. He's just going to be, if he is on the squad, he'll be like an underneath kind of a complementary piece. He's not like their big weapon. You've got the running back, and yeah, you've got that O-line to worry about. And in my opinion, a better D with some nasty linebackers. So I'm not going to take the easy route as you did and say, the refs are going to take us. I'm going to say that's going to be a dang hard road football game. And I think that, for some reason, we're just going to now win it or come up short. But, it's winnable. There's no doubt. But so that's my retort to what you said. Would you like another volley, sir, or can we move on?
We can do a different show on this if you want to, which I'm completely fine with. But the Cowboys aren't that good. Okay, hands down, they're not that good. They just get a lot more love than what they deserve most of the time, simply because they are the Cowboys.
What are we going to do another show on? Your absolute conspiracy theories for the past decade on why the Lions can't win the big games? We're going to do one on that. Are you going to draw those up for me?
Don't tell me you're one of those good teams overcome guys. Good teams overcome the bad calls. Good teams overcome this. Good teams don't do this.
No,
Whatever,
I'm
man.
just tired of the
Whatever.
Grif texting excuses when anytime they're playing a decently prominent team, the minute one thing goes wrong, I get the Grifka text. Oh, see the Giants. They just love the Giants. It's like, no, we just didn't make the play.
Oh wait, hold on. They don't play the Giants this year, so you don't have to listen to my tirade about how great the Giants offense is going to be because they got Saquon Barkley, the second coming of
He
Zeke
is.
Elliott. Oh, and Odell Beckham Jr. is coming back. The man living off one catch.
Get out of here.
Catch.
Okay,
Give me a
we
break.
got to move on to you're like running down two of the best guys in the NFL. We got to move on, but I'm just telling you.
Wait, Saquon Barkley is one of the best guys in the NFL. Is that what you're trying to tell
he's going
me?
to be a top 20 player in the league this year.
Dude,
mark it down.
Okay.
Mark it down.
Dude, I marked down you telling me last year how Terrell Pryor was going to have 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I missed on that
I marked
one.
that.
That was a gamble, though. This guy's a Hall of Famer day one. But
Okay.
the reason we brought it up is because I'm done with the Grifka excuses. I'm done with the, oh, poor us. Oh, we just can't win any of the big teams. We might lose in Dallas, but it's not going to be because of that. And this next team is one of your other favorites where whenever we can't beat them, there's some excuse. But we're coming home against the Packers. I'm going to elaborate on this one here in a minute, but I'll pass it to you. Grifka, what are we going to do against the Packers at home coming off 2 losses?
This is going to be one of those games where the Packers have they have a really good defensive line. And their linebackers, they have Clay Matthews, who's getting a little long in the tooth. But their other linebackers, they're pretty decent. They are. But once again, this is another one where they're going to have 2 rookie corners out there. And yeah, they're going to have all their work, and those rookie corners are going to probably see a lot of time in the preseason just to get their feet wet, really try to hit that stride of pro football. And people are going to try to probably pick on them the first 4 weeks. But once again, they're at home. And Detroit throws the ball pretty well. And I know one of those things that when you're a throwing team, you got to throw the ball. I mean, yeah, I know you want to try to establish a run and, equal it out, save your quarterback. But this is one of those games I think Detroit's going to need to pass the ball on those rookie cornerbacks, to win the game. Now I know Aaron Rodgers is back for their offense. And once again, I'm not for sure who Green Bay's running back will be. They, for some odd reason, they always just seem to find some guy. It's just – okay, this guy was a wide receiver and they moved him back to running back. Okay, this guy was selling hot dogs and they got hurt, so they threw him on the roster, and this guy's running the ball all of a sudden. And yeah, they got Jimmy Graham in at tight end, so that'll be one guy they really, really need to focus on. And I know they let Jordy Nelson go, but they still have some decent wide receivers. I got this game as a win, but it's going to have to be a shootout. It's going to have to probably be one of those 45-42 games. Is what it'll have to be. This one's not going to be one of your 24-21 games or 2017. This one's going to have to be a shootout. So I penciled this one in as a win for the Packers.
All right, can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, no, I totally I'm kidding with you. I'm actually with you on a lot of your stuff there with the Packers. What's crazy about this podcast is we're going to end up having it exactly the same, maybe for some different reasons, but I'm definitely chalking this Packer game up as a win at home. We've sort of had their number recently. I like what you said when you're thinking both a shootout. Like, I'm expecting high scoring as well, but I'm also expecting like us to really have a lot of bravado, even though we lost 2 games, about, hey, this is our house, Green Bay. You don't come in and you don't just think you run this division still. We got something to say about it. Now, I did hear a report today that I did love their 2 draft picks at corner, and they took a corner last year. So they got some real nasty, good DBs on the outside, as well as their quarterback. And you brought up their running game. Like, to me, they did what's smart, man. They loaded up on all these running backs that are young and that have different skill sets, and they can just bring them in and out and rotate them. Like, I think they're going to be tough there too. But for some reason, again, I just see us taking care of home against Green Bay, and then dealing with them in December may be another issue, but we'll get to that on the next podcast. So I'm going to chalk it up as a victory, a big victory, going into the bye week at 3 wins, 2 losses, beating the Packers, having some mo, feeling good about ourselves, even though we did take 2 tough losses there against the Patriots and Dallas. But 3-2 head into the bye week as a realistic view. To me, is both reasonable, is doable, and is what I think will happen. And man, I hope they just come off that bye and then do some damage, because in the NFL, it's always about the quarters of the seasons, or even 2 halves, and that's what do you do before your bye, and how do you come out of the gate after and towards the end of the season. Which I'd really love to see the Lions finish this season strong and ready. And I think me and Hughes set the bar last podcast that making the playoffs isn't enough. Winning at least one home postseason game is definitely the goal. And we said, why not a whole lot more than that? Because I feel like we got to creep along. And I feel like part of this review of the schedule is going to be setting the bar high and saying, like, where are we going to be at the end? And don't just set it so low that, hopefully we get in, or hopefully win a playoff game. Like, why couldn't we be in the big game? Why couldn't we do some damage? So that's what I'm saying in the bigger picture of things. But Grifka, we've got them both at 3-2. Any parting words as we close up shop here on this Kool-Aid Cast?
Yeah, I guess looking at the schedule, I mean, realistically, we're both going 3-2. Seems very, very attainable. I mean, best case scenario, 5-0. I mean, really, they got 2 of their tough games at home. And 49ers, once again, I believe are very beatable. And once again, going on the road to Dallas, I believe that team is very beatable. I mean, I don't think they're as good as everybody thinks they are, but, I mean, could they be 5-0? Well, yeah, sure. I mean, worst case scenario, going back out to the West Coast to play the 49ers, where the Detroit and like a lot of East Coast teams historically don't play that well. I mean, tough game at home against the Patriots. Once again, going to Dallas, another game that's, on the road, and home against the Packers. I mean, Packers would be a decent team, so they could be 1-4. I mean, would I be happy with 1-4? No, but I don't think a lot of fans would be, and they'd start to like wonder really what's going on. But 3-2 sounds very realistic for this team right now.
All right, well, sounds good. You just ran the gamut, Grifka. Explained it out if we're 0-5 or 5-0. So that's a way to put in a button on it. And like you said, I hope you're with me where we can get into another day of setting that bar really high for this team, because we've been dying for a home game in Ford Field, and I feel like it's time to really set it at that and get it done. So, starting off at 3-2, I think it's still doable, but I want that home game at Ford Field and that playoff victory and a lot more. So hopefully we'll get that, and stay strong to your predictions, Grifko. And like you say, if they can win 1 or 2 more of those games heading into the bye, it'll be all the better. So looking forward to it. Kool-Aid Cast, we'll catch everybody next week for heading in on the road, heading down to Miami to play the Dolphins, and we'll catch you through each of those games. Lots of big division games and things heading up. So when we come to you next, we'll be talking about the rest of the schedule and probably a whole lot more. Take it easy, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions. Drink it in, man.